father was murdered. Was it hit and run? I don't think so.
My name is Natasha. I'm with Cold Tea Collective. We share stories that empower the next generation of the AA-NHPI diaspora. I'm curious to know, what role did authenticity play in your experience while filming?
It was really important to Jason that we not show the tourist version of Hawaii. So much so that, and this is the only time I've ever done this, is before I even wrote the script, I went out to Hawaii. And Jason was out there prepping for Chief of War. So he was already steeped in all the Hawaiian lore and culture. And he connected me with his writing partner, Thomas, who was writing Chief of War with him and also has lived in Hawaii his whole life and is part of that whole culture. And they just arranged like a week of me going around to see all these places, to meet with the, people from the Ahamoku and meet with elders and really understand the politics of Hawaii and sort of the attitudes of the people of Hawaii, towards, the general American government, towards their own government, towards their history. And so the idea was to know as much of that as possible. And even though the film is a comedy and doesn't dwell on that, but to weave those threads into it so that we were telling that we were being authentic about, how Hawaiians feel about developers, about, what makes you Hawaiian, because it's really interesting what even makes you Hawaiian. It's there are plenty of people who you wouldn't think are Hawaiian who are Hawaiian, and plenty of people who you would think are Hawaiian who aren't Hawaiian, because there was just so much to learn. And I obviously only scratched the surface, but I also had access to Thomas and Jason during the whole writing process. So when it came to writing about like the Hawaiian Homelands Act and understanding all of that, I could research it online, but then I could also speak to Thomas about how people talk about it there and what the prevailing attitudes are there. So it was a process that involved a lot of initial research and then constant consultation with Thomas and Jason.
For me, it's very important for things to be authentic and be true, not just because Waikiki is as real as what's outside of Waikiki. Coming from Puerto Rico, I also see how the Waikiki of Puerto Rico turns to be the tourism postcard, where like only 1% of the people live there. The rest of the people have a different reality. And being able to have a script that Tropper wrote that lives outside, behind the curtain of Waikiki, felt like a great opportunity for me to also speak about situations that I experienced firsthand in Puerto Rico. I always do my due diligence in embedding within the culture, in having cultural advisors, and also in this case, have the opportunity of having somebody like Jacob, Jason, and other supporting cast members that are all from Hawaii. It will be very hard for that authenticity to miss its mark when you have a lot of people that care so deeply about their culture, making sure that it's properly represented.
It was really great. Again, it was my first time ever getting the chance to work back home and having just like the sort of like the undertones of gentrification being sort of brought to the forefront in Hawaii and in America in general, just like for minorities, is very important, because I think, again, like you were saying and like what Ángel was saying, a lot of times like these like very beautiful places are just kind of like the background, and they're not really talking about the real political issues that go on. It's really awesome to really put us culturally in Hollywood in a sense where it's going to be seen by people and like hopefully understood and thought of more and taken care of more now that people understand what's kind of going on there.
Uncalled for. Are you gaslighting us?
You want to tell me why the Yakuza want you dead?
Yes, well, I was enjoying the fact that, I was just trying to be the nice guy. There are some dealings that I'm involved with, but we didn't want to reveal any of that too soon. So we're trying to keep that under wraps for as long as I possibly can. So there was a moment, I really enjoyed the fact that most of my scenes had to be in Hawaii. So I was one of the blessed actors that got to work in the most magical place in the world. It all goes back to the script too. And I just thought with Angel's wonderful directing, yeah, super fun too at the same time. A lot of humor as well. So
Yeah.
I just thought the repartee, the way they played it was very, 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 very fun.
In all the work that I do, I try to be as authentic as possible, and especially if it's a brown story. But the writing already provided that. The team, the crew, working with Jason, Roimata team, it was all there. So it felt very effortless and safe to go there.
This doesn't happen here every day. I can't have two guys who look like they eat steroid pancakes for breakfast, turning my island into Beirut!
I will second what the team said. Jonathan's such an amazing writer, and what I really loved about working with Ángel personally for Layla was finding her wardrobe and the authenticity of what this woman would wear day to day. We started off very, I just think, I mean, you would have seen from the film, it's just so wonderful that we take the time to really nitpick at those types of things. And I think Maya Kealoha, who plays out my daughter, her mother looked at me as soon as I came out in my wardrobe and said, "Oh girl, that's what I'd wear any day. That's what I'm wearing. That's what I'm cooking in. That's also what I'm stepping out to the shop in." So it really means a lot that we take the time to do things like that, because it really makes the difference to the people watching themselves.
That was such a fun moment to find. We were trying to deepen this character more than what was on the page. And Ángel and I decided that she should be who I am. She should be Brazilian. We find there's such a small amount of representation in that. There's like this general Latina-ness that happens in a lot of movies. I think that cultural specificity for all of these characters, we have so many different actually ethnicities in this film, but for all of them to be specific, but also have a shared experience of the world was really, for me, really special to watch.
I guarantee you'll end up poking a bear.
It's a unique question to me, especially for this role. It's a badass and a bad guy, and people always get scared of me when they meet me because they expect somebody like the character I portray in a film. But the character of Nakamura I played is obviously Yakuza, the head of Yakuza, and then his dad built the empire, so he's actually trying to prove that he can do that. He can, take care of it. He can be in charge of everything. To me, I had the kind of similar relationship, with my dad. No Yakuza, but I was in a soccer team and he was a coach. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I think every boy kind of goes through that kind of process, to prove yourself as a man. Yeah, that kind of vulnerability and also the attitude toward the authority is something that I was able to kind of resonate it. Of course, it's really, action film and lots of kind of, fighting sequences. But at the same time, it's really fun. Lots of jokes going on. And I really love the Jacob's character because it's such a, I think he's the most needed.
Okay, split up. You guys look like The Rock screwed himself and had twins.
Everything he says or once he comes in, totally opposite from Nakamura. Nakamura comes in, it's chaotic, but at the same time, every single time Jacob's character comes in, it's fun. It's gonna be fun.